reconnecting. Okay. Hi everybody, I'm Sarah Outlaw. This is Natural Health Improvement Center, South Jersey. Welcome. Thanks for taking some time out on your Tuesday night to come on out and listen to some information about real food. So I am a nutritionist and nutrition response testing practitioner and also an herbalist. And this is actually the biggest nutrition office, not size-wise, building-wise, but volume-wise in the entire state of New Jersey. So I also have another office in Des Moines, Iowa, which has as many patients as we do here now. So I have two offices in two states, and we're teaching everybody we know about real food and getting people better with nutrition. So we're going to be talking about a lot of things tonight. We're going to be talking about food allergies, the differences between food allergies, sensitivities, and intolerances. We're going to be talking about some mainstream nutrition myths that we're going to be debunking tonight, and also talking about some diets and things that people tend to lean towards, you know, the fad type of things and what those are, and really what you should be eating, and a little bit more information on nutrition response testing. So I'm going to have Colleen will be helping me out a little bit later, talking about what nutrition response testing is and how we actually figure things out on what people should be eating. So we're going to be talking about all those things tonight. If you have questions, feel free to ask me during the talk. I'll probably repeat the question because this is being recorded for our Facebook page. People can watch it live, and that way I'll repeat the question so we can hear it on video for people. So, and then we'll do a Q&A at the end. There is a form, if you're not a patient already and you've never had a screening, there's a little form in your packet that tells me if you want to have a free health screening. So after the class tonight, if you'd like to have a free mini screening, it's not a consultation, so we're not going to be doing a lot of talking as far as consultation goes, but it's a screening to see if you're testable, to see if you qualify to be a nutrition response testing patient. And you're welcome to do that. Once you hear what it is, you might be more inclined to do that. So, and if you guys are sitting to your front of the camera, if I step out of the frame, just like give me like wait, like if I'm like not in the frame. I usually don't move around too much, but if anything weird happens to that camera, you guys are in charge. So, okay. So ABCs of eating right, eat to live, what to eat and why. That's really what we're going to be talking about tonight. Kind of give you a little bit of a clue on what is appropriate to be eating, because there's so much information out there. I used ABC because I want to create awareness, balance, and control when it comes to eating. I need people to, when they're on a nutrition program with me, or when I'm talking to my friends and family, or people in Des Moines too, when I'm talking to them, awareness is what we're looking to establish, being mindful of what you're eating. It's really important to not just mindlessly eat food, because your body is looking for very specific nutrition on a daily basis to be able to run itself. Our body runs on the nutrition that you bring in on a daily basis. So if it's not getting what it needs, then there's a huge issue with nutritional deficiencies and imbalances, which we see every single day at this office. So we need a good balance of nutrition. And a lot of times we don't really know what that is. We're told, eat 9 whole grains or 5 to 6 servings of whole grains a day. We're told to eat this much vegetables. And so what do we do? And then we're saying, oh, well, now we have to go gluten-free. So what's that all about? So people are having trouble with balancing what they're supposed to be eating, because you have so many voices from so many places telling you what to eat, what not to eat all the time. So it's really difficult and get very overwhelming and very confusing. And people will just throw up their hands and say, forget it, that kind of thing. So. And then control. A lot of times people eat and they're emotional eaters, so it's more difficult for them to have control of their food, or they travel a lot, they don't have control of their food that way, or they just have other issues that they're having issues with control. If you can move your chair around, you can feel free to move your chair if you're like right in front of the camera. It's like, whatever is easier for you guys. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, just make yourselves comfortable. Feel free to shift around, whatever you'd like to do. All right, so let's go over some myths and truths. So I have some myths and truths written down for you here that we're going to talk about. There's a bunch of them, but I'm going to hit on a few of my favorites. So myth number 1 is the healthiest diet is a low-fat, high-carb diet with lots of grains. So that is what the diet in America for the last, 20, 30, 40 years has pretty much consisted of. Is very grain based. You have to get your whole grains, eat your Wheaties, whatever you're going to do in the morning. Get that oatmeal in, because it's really good for your heart. There is not one single study, not one, that was from several decades ago when they did the population, when they were advised to eat the low-fat, high-carb diet. There wasn't a single study at that time ever made that showed that this diet could actually prevent disease. So that whole school of thought came out of just industry. That's what all the agriculture was leaning towards, and that's what people started to eat. So there weren't any studies back then that showed that that was actually a good thing. It just kind of was like media and things were propagated that said that, so we just all bought into it. Since then, many high quality studies have been done, but the results were not clear. This diet did not cause weight loss, prevent cancer, or reduce the risk of heart disease. So numerous studies have been done in the last, during the last 30 years on the low-fat, high-carb diet, but there's no effect on body weight or disease risk over the long term. We have found that people actually gain weight when they eat more carbs and they eat more grains, and we see the opposite when they reduce them. So when people go on a lower carbohydrate, more nutrient-dense diet, they actually lose weight very nicely on a program. Another myth is that salt should be restricted in order to lower blood pressure and reduce heart attacks and strokes, but there's not really any good scientific evidence on that either. The problem that is coming is that it's the kind of salt. So iodized table salt is not good for your body, but small amounts of sea salt and real salt. There's a brand called Redmond's Real Salt, which you can see all the little mineral flecks in there, and then the gray, the Celtic salt. Those are actually beneficial to your body. It keeps your electrolytes balanced, it keeps your fluids balanced, and your adrenals nice and healthy. So it does, reducing sodium, there's been no proven scientific facts that show that they actually reduce the risks of heart attack, strokes, or death. So all these things we believe, and there's, we gotta do this and that. It's all based on dogmatic theory that's never been proven scientifically. So these are all myths that we just kind of say, okay, yeah, we're gonna believe them, and they're not even true. Let me find another good one in here. There's 20 of them that I like to talk about, but egg yolks should be avoided because they are high in cholesterol, which drives heart disease. So we've all heard that, right? You have to don't eat eggs because they're bad for you. Just eat the whites because they're good for you. So studies have actually shown that eggs raise the good cholesterol, and they don't raise the risk of heart disease. So they're actually good for you. They are good sources of cholesterol for your body, and it says, on my little note says, telling people to throw the yolks away may be the most ridiculous advice in the history of nutrition. Whole eggs are actually the most nutritious food on the planet. They're a whole protein. But the caveat to that is some people who have autoimmune disease are actually sensitive to the whites because of the high histamine content in them. So I see actually a lot of egg sensitivities on a nutrition program here because of other issues going on in the body. So even though they are very, very healthy, they aren't healthy for everyone based on your immune system. So we just have to fix you, and then we can have you eat eggs again. So they are high in cholesterol, but they do not raise blood cholesterol or increase heart disease for the majority of people. So there has been no scientific link between actually eating cholesterol and raising the blood lipid profile of your cholesterol levels. So this does this to me all the time. It hates me. So excuse me for a second. We're in the middle of Mercury retrograde, which means everything glitches in my world. So, and it tries to update. This might happen periodically, but okay. All right, so that's not the right one. There we go. Okay, so another myth. Whole wheat is a health food and an essential part of a balanced diet. So there's a lot of issues going around about wheat. Wheat in general we call it the new wheat. The new wheat is different than the old wheat. Wheat has been changed because you have to have more, in order to have, so think about bread, I don't know how, it depends on how old you are, but bread in the old days was more dense. It wasn't as soft, and it wasn't as fluffy, and it wasn't as, sandwichy. It was more dense and harder and crusty, and they had, in order to make it more soft than what they wanted to, they added preservatives to it, but then they changed the wheat to be more glutinous. So gluten makes things more protein, right? So it makes things a little bit softer and easier to handle, and the bread is nicer. People like that bread like that, the sandwich bread, but there's more gluten in it, and the more gluten is a problem for a lot of people. But when we do our testing, we're actually finding that for the majority of people, gluten is not even the issue. It's the grain itself. Something's wrong with the actual grain. We're not exactly sure what, other than possibly the pesticides, the glyphosates in it from Monsanto pesticides, that's an issue. And then they've also hybridized wheat tremendously, and that can cause problems as well. So The wheat most people are eating today is unhealthy, it is less nutritious, and may increase cholesterol levels and inflammatory markers. So what we're finding is that high carbohydrate diets, high in grains, are actually what's contributing to people's high cholesterol and dietary issues. So when people cut back on their sugars and their carbs, and we redo their blood work, their cholesterol levels are lower, their blood pressure is lower, all their sugars are lower. We have all these great blood work results from not decreasing the fats, but from decreasing the carbs and the sugars. So it's a complete opposite of what we are being told. Because they always say that saturated fat raises LDL, and it actually doesn't. All right, so I'm gonna table these for now. We might go back to a few other ones, but these are really good. You can find information about this if you go to Authority Nutrition. There's a website called Authority Nutrition. They are now called Healthline, but they have a lot of different things, nutrition myths and truths. They have tons of these. They're really, really interesting. Yeah.
I have a question because we just mentioned saturated fat.
Yeah.
I've been doing coconut oil. I tried the oil pulling. I used to put it in my coffee.
Right.
But now, I just read something online that said coconut oil is good for you, even though it's a saturated fat, more so than butter. It raises HDL, the good cholesterol.
Good cholesterol.
But then it also said it raises LDL as well, the bad cholesterol. So now it's really
yeah, I mean, as long as the HDL is going up, whatever, the LDL will kind of go up and then it will drop down. So I notice that it depends on when people do their blood work. So I have people that do blood work sometimes in the middle of their program, and if they switch from a high carb, high grain, low fat diet to a higher fat diet, initially the levels will go up, and then they level back off, and that's just from the body's trying to adjust. There's really no evidence that cholesterol will be raised by the coconut oil on the bad side, because the body will use it. The body burns it off and uses it as energy. So yeah, you have to watch who does the studies too. They're always fun. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next stuff because we have lots of stuff to cover today. So we can go back to those if we want to. There's lots of them. So let's see what else we have here. All right. So food sensitivities. Food sensitivity symptoms are, let's press the play button here. There we go. I did a talk in Des Moines last week for about 60 people, and this was doing this to me too then. We don't know why it does it, but it just hates me. All right. Food sensitivity. Some symptoms of food sensitivities are dark circles or puffiness under the eyes. So a lot of times when I see kids, and some people are just tired. You're just tired. I'm tired. I'm jet lag right now. But a lot of people, I notice what I do, something called hypnosis. I observe the obvious. When someone comes in to see me, I'm looking at everything, right? So I'm looking at everything you've got going on. And dark circles is one thing we look at. We see this a lot in kids because little kids aren't wearing any makeup, right? So you can see it. A lot of kids have that sallow look and the dark circles under their eyes, and it's usually from some kind of a food sensitivity. Adults too. Fluid retention, puffiness. Most people who come in to see me have inflammation, and sometimes you'll come in and you'll start a nutrition program, and the next week I don't even recognize you because the inflammation has gone down so much that you look like a completely different person, and people are like, did you lose weight? I'm like, no, but it's the inflammation, the puffiness actually completely goes away. Headaches. 99% of headaches are food related. So people who have migraines and chronic headaches, a lot of them are actually food sensitivities that you don't even realize, because you can get a headache 2 days after eating a food. So you never make the correlation, you never link it, because it depends on the motility of your bowels. So something can trigger a headache at any point during the digestive process. So it could be from the time it hits your tongue, or it could be when it's going down. It could be digestion when it goes through your system. Some people, it takes 2 days or 3 days for all of what you ate today to get through. You can do a little test and eat something colorful like beets and see how long it takes it to go through your stool. The urine doesn't count because you got the purple urine first. It's the stools. When the stools turn purple, then you know, my kids call it Play-Doh poop. When the stools turn purple, that's when you know how long it took for those beets to get through your system. And for a lot of people, it's 2 days. So sometimes when that food gets into the colon, that's when it triggers the headache, because that's at the end of the digestive process. You don't have enough hydrochloric acid in that last part of digestion to digest that food properly. and it's going to kick up some kind of a reaction in the body. I had no idea that my horrible, debilitating migraines that would set me out under for an entire 24 hours were from food, because I would be like, I didn't eat anything today that was bad. Like, I don't understand. But it was from 2 or 3 days before that was the problem that was triggering it. And almost 100% of the time, it's either a grain or a sugar that's doing it. That's what we usually find. Eggs can do it too. Eggs can also trigger sinus infections if you're sensitive to them. That's that histamine issue all in the nose. So, sinus congestion is another one for food sensitivities. A lot of times it's dairy. A lot of times it could be eggs and wheat or sugar. Chronic ear infections, especially in kids, we see this a lot. Kids who eat sugar or grains or dairy, lots of congestion. Kids love dairy. They eat their cheese, and sometimes the only thing you get kids to eat is yogurt and cheese and milk, right? So they're all congested all the time, and a lot of times this is a food sensitivity issue. Asthma also, because it's a food sensitivity issue, trying to detox. And then indigestion. A lot of foods we're eating are causing kick up in the gut. So food sensitivities are a symptom of something else. There's a whole other list of symptoms, but as a side note, they're a symptom of something else. They're not the actual thing that's going on. All food sensitivities are pushed by usually an immune system problem, something in the immune system that's pushing it, usually a parasite or a virus or a bacteria or a fungus, yeast, candida type thing. And that is the underlying issue. Your body's not supposed to be sensitive to your foods. Your body is supposed to be able to use what it can and get rid of the rest, right? You're not supposed to have all these weird reactions to your foods. I never knew of somebody who had a food sensitivity or allergy when I was in school in the 90s, in elementary or high school. And I know before then no one really did. So I knew one kid, I think in high school in like 1995, 96, I think I knew one person with asthma who had an inhaler, and it was exercise induced. The one person, not one single person in my entire school had a peanut allergy, and now we have complete tables with can't eat with peanuts. So something is going on that's not normal, because this is something that's happened and evolved, and now we see it as normal. But some of us are waking up and saying, wait, this is not normal. This is not how it's supposed to be. So what we do here is we actually fix the underlying immune system issue, and then the food sensitivities go away. And there's a difference between a food sensitivity and actual allergy. Allergy is like a blood allergy. Anaphylaxis, it's a little bit different. Those can be resolved. They just take a lot longer time. So we've had some kids who have had peanut allergies or other allergies, true ones with EpiPens, who have been able to recover from those. It just takes a little bit longer than a sensitivity to handle out of the body. Other symptoms, abdominal pain. This was mine when I had IBS as a kid. Abdominal pain, bloating, gas, or general discomfort. You should feel really good after you eat. If you eat a good meal, you should feel really good. You shouldn't feel like, oh my gosh, I want to die right now. You shouldn't be going. When I was a kid, I would go after dinner, I would go lay down on my stomach because my stomach hurt so bad. You shouldn't feel like that. Your body should be thankful for what you ate and feel great and use it, and you should get energy and feel good. If you're feeling any of these things after you're eating, your body is really fighting against what you're eating. And you got to change your diet and actually fix the underlying issues that are causing this in the first place. Fatigue, one of the main complaints I get when people write in their sheets and when they come in is that after they eat, they get really tired, almost like when you eat Thanksgiving dinner and you want to go to sleep. But they always feel like that. Every time they eat, they feel tired and they don't even want to eat anymore. I had somebody tell me today, I don't even want to eat food because I know I'm going to be tired and I can have really good energy throughout the day if I don't eat anything, but then I crash because my blood sugar's in the toilet. So this is kind of two-edged sword here. Oh my gosh. Sorry guys, I don't know why this is killing me here. You can write it in your in the comments about how I suck at computer. Oh my gosh, it just does this. It just blinks off, just randomly blinks. Let me see if I can just X out of this one. Close. All right, I don't know why, and it opened up new tabs, which I didn't open these. Okay, I'll go fast so I don't take up too much time. There you go. It wants me to do the thyroid talk again. I just did that last week. I don't want to do that again. I've never done that. All right, joint inflammation and pain. That's how I knew when I got sick. initially, I knew there was something wrong with me because I ate something and within an hour my hands felt like they were completely arthritic. And I said, there's something wrong with me. The pain was so intense in my fingers and my wrists, and I knew that there was something not right. And I was reacting to some foods, so then I knew there's something going on underneath. That's a lot of times when we are able to fix someone's diet and get them their food under control and find what they're sensitive to, the joint inflammation and pain goes away. But there's always an underlying immune system issue to that too, and a lot of times it's Lyme bacteria or metals and chemicals. Those things can contribute to chronic pain too. So chronic pain's not supposed to be there. If it is, there's something going on that we have to find. Impaired cognition, foggy head, brain fog, just feeling not being able to think clearly. That is something that is very much food related. Your body's fighting against your food. Call it grain brain. A lot of times they'll call it grain brain. You eat a bunch of grains, you eat a bunch of sugar, and you just feel just foggy and impaired. That's why a lot of kids, especially in school, are having trouble because they eat a very grain and sugar-filled lunch, and then after lunch at school, they can't concentrate and think, so then their teachers say they have ADD, ADHD, when really they just ate too much grains and sugar, and they had that, that chocolate milk that had 3 days worth of sugar in there, and they literally cannot think. They can't. It's impossible. Their brain is too foggy. It's amazing how many kids we've helped with ADD, ADHD by changing their diets and getting them some real nutrition in there. Their teachers are absolutely amazed. They actually call meetings with parents and say, I don't know what you did, but whatever you did is amazing. We've seen just amazing results with just kids turning around with that and just being able to function and be, getting good grades and all, and being energetic and actually liking school because they're actually able to function in school and they're not always a kid getting in trouble, They actually can have a good day. Memory problems, mood swings, anxiety, depression. There is a huge link between the gut and the brain. So the gut-brain connection is something that's been proven. It's been all over the news and all over the internet lately, right? So we get the microbiome and all these terms being thrown at us. And a lot of the serotonin and dopamine and hormones are made, and the brain chemicals are actually made in the gut, actually over 70% of them. So if your gut is unhealthy, then you're going to start to have mental cognition and mental anxiety and depression issues, which is directly linked to the gut. So if we can get your gut fixed and work on the brain at the same time, there's a huge correlation between your mental health and that. And we do another mental health talk, and I think we're doing one. We talk a lot about that. Mental health talk is on June 19th. So I think we have a list of other things up there that we'll give you too of our next talks. Dermatitis and various skin conditions. Those are very much food related, and also liver. So liver is huge in the digestive process because it has to deal with all the chemicals and things that we don't need to be bringing into our body. So if anyone's having a liver issue, there's going to be something that spits out on the skin. That's your first clue. So the liver, symptoms of liver issues and digestion issues together are eczema, psoriasis, any kind of contact dermatitis, skin rashes, also asthma, allergies, eczema, because anything that's not getting detoxed through the liver is going to come out on the skin, or it's going to back up this way. So if the liver can't detox it, then this body's going to find somewhere else to detox it, so people get sinus infections. Yes?
Are skin tags different?
Skin tags are different, yeah, they're a little bit different. But all the other things are usually liver related. Waking up in the middle of the night between 1 and 3 a.m. is also a liver issue. We always talk about this because people are always like, oh, I wake up at that time every night. And what happens is the liver cannot go through both of its phases of detox. There's 2 phases it's supposed to go through to help your body detox and digest everything. It's easy to get through phase 1 because that's gathering up the trash, right? So if you think of, you gather up all the trash in your house, you put it in bags, but say you just leave them on your back porch at night and you don't have a fenced-in yard and you have food in the bags, what happens? They're going to get ripped open, right, by animals. So what happens in your phase 2 of detox is like you left those bags out on your porch and they get ripped open, all those things get recycled. So you have all this garbage that recycles through your whole body, and then your body is not able to go through the second phase of detox, and your body wakes you up. It says, hey, I'm having problems, I can't detox, and then you have sleeping issues. So we've solved a lot of sleeping issues too. Past that, other organs detox too. So sometimes if it's like 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, it might be lungs or there's gallbladder. There's all these other organs that we check whenever someone says I wake up at a specific time every night. Then we're looking at that specific organ. All right, variety is the spice of life. Anything you eat every day all the time can become toxic to your body. So when people tell me that I eat the same thing every day, that's a red flag for me, because that means that you're not rotating your foods. You're getting one specific set of nutrients every single day. There's no variety. You're missing a whole other set of nutrition, and your body's not able to function the way it should. And you're setting yourself up for food sensitivities because your motility might be slow, meaning that your bowel motility, which is how your bowels move, if you eat something today and you have an immune system issue that's going to kick up a kind of an autoimmune reaction, and you eat the same thing the next day, the body says, whoa, 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 that's already in my system. If you have leaky gut, have you ever heard of leaky gut, permeable gut? It's when things start leaking out of your gut into your bloodstream where they're not supposed to be. The immune system kicks up and says, I can't handle this food coming in because in the bloodstream it's not supposed to be there, and it starts to attack. And it starts to attack the foods, and you have a sensitivity, and then if that continues, that process continues, you set yourself up for an autoimmune disease because your body is on constant high immune system alert. So it's important to rotate your foods the best you can. I like a 4-day rotation diet. 3 is kind of pushing it, but 4 is best. By allowing the body's immune system to recover from the effects of a challenging food, current food allergies begin to mitigate themselves. So helps to reduce the chance of developing new additional allergies, encourages diet diversity by providing a wide range of nutritional choices, and discourages the overindulgence of one food to compensate for the removal of another. So a lot of times when we take out, say we take out wheat, people will eat rice, but then they'll eat tons of rice. Or we take out dairy, so they'll eat everything almonds, almond milk, almond cheese, and then all of a sudden you're inundated with almonds, and then you have sensitivity to that. So that could be a problem too. So really looking at your foods and saying, okay, am I getting a wide variety of things? I can't eat nut-based things all the time. What can I do to kind of do that? So we help you with that. We help you kind of decide and figure things out so it's not so overwhelming. All right. So when you eat, so the rotation diet is you eat one thing and you wait and you eat the same. You don't eat that same thing for 4 days. Yes.
The new commercials on TV are for this new milk, A2 milk.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have A1, it has A2. So
Yeah.
I'm all for dairy. I'm doing rice milk for the
Right.
most part. Would that be something, a way of reintroducing dairy, or shouldn't I go for that?
No, it's still pasteurized and dead and gross.
Okay.
Yeah, pasteurized milk. If you're gonna if you're gonna drink milk, the only milk you should be drinking is raw. Pasteurized milk is completely dead food with no redeeming qualities to it whatsoever. You don't need the calcium from it. You can get it from other places. There's no enzymes in it. There's no probiotics in it. There's synthetic vitamin D and vitamin A. They added back in because they took it all out when they heated it up, and it's just not.
But isn't it against the law in New Jersey?
New Jersey, yeah.
You got to buy it from Pennsylvania.
You can go to Pennsylvania.
Right.
Yeah, so you can go to yourfamilyfarmer.com, and there's a drop point by the Art Museum on Thursdays. And there's a drop point by the Bristol and at the Bristol Walmart right over the Burlington-Bristol Bridge on Saturdays. There are a couple local co-ops in the area who do raw milk. There's a loophole that they can bring it over here, and then because it's already pre-purchased. Yeah.
Pre-purchased in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, so you can carry it over.
Yeah, I personally, this is my personal, I don't like the milk from those farms. I like the milk from Family Farmer. I've tried the other farm milk, and I just didn't like it. It was too cowy for me. I don't know, it just tasted weird. I prefer Family Cow, your Family Farmer. It's my favorite. I won't go back to the other stuff.
Can I ask you
Yeah,
how
sure.
you feel about we as the only mammal on the planet that drinks other animals' milk?
Yeah, it's kind of creepy, huh?
Yeah. I mean, what we've read is maybe we shouldn't be drinking it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
We're supposed to be weaned from it from our mother at a certain age. And then,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I believe in living off the land as much as possible, and I feel like as humans, that was our only way of survival, as we've gone through the ages, is we had, milk and honey and grain and whatever, so doing our best, but we've adulterated it so much that I feel like, I don't know, I don't drink it anymore just because my body just doesn't like it, my skin doesn't like milk. The raw milk I can tolerate, but I just don't like it, so I don't drink it. As far as we shouldn't, I don't know if we shouldn't. I know we shouldn't drink pasteurized milk.
I just find it weird that
It is kind of weird.
It's also a contributor to cancer too. They're saying that.
The pasteurized milk.
Dairy, yeah.
Yeah, pasteurized milk, because it's dead. Your body's not looking at it as a food, and the synthetic vitamins are an issue. Synthetic vitamins as a whole are an issue because our body doesn't recognize those as actual nutrition. So it's a synthesized thing in your body mimicking what you're supposed to be having. It's not real, so the body kind of uses it but not, so it's actually depleting your actual vitamins and nutrients in your body. So yeah, if you're going to drink milk, go raw. If you're not going to drink milk, I won't cry about it. Yeah.
Another question about histamines. You mentioned that word. I was reading there's certain products, there's a whole list of them, but they said kale and yogurt produce increased histamines.
Histamines.
So there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do we know what, I mean, I'm off dairy anyway, so I'm assuming the dairy was because of the...
Yeah. Yeah, histamines, I usually can tell pretty quickly if somebody's having a histamine issue. I'll usually just tell you. And there's usually, I'll look at your food list and see, okay, what do you eat that's high histamine, and we'll kind of cut them out. Fermented foods are high in histamines too. So a lot of times when people go to like an autoimmune paleo type diet, they put in a lot of fermented foods and they have all these weird reactions, like itchiness and all this stuff. It's because they're actually having a histamine reaction.
I think like kimchi or something too.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some diets. I hate the word diet, but we're using it anyway. Diets defined. Paleo diet means no grains, no refined sugar, no legumes, maybe no beans, no dairy. It includes plenty of vegetables. It's a myth that paleo is all meat. It's not. It's actually mostly vegetables. When you look at the paleo diet the way it's supposed to be eaten, it's mostly vegetables, which is what I prefer. And moderate amounts of protein, and then moderate fats. It's really, really good for people who are trying to heal their gut because they're not getting a lot of they're not getting any grains and legumes, which are very high in anti-proteins. Hang on a second. Hang on 1 second to do that. That doesn't show on my screen. Okay, can get rid of it. Another diet that we hear a lot. I mean, actually, I haven't heard about this one as much. Is the primal diet. So the primal diet means no grain, no refined sugar. You can have occasional legumes, and you can have raw dairy. So the difference between the paleo and the primal is the dairy factor, and then you can have some legumes. Fermented soy is allowed on the primal diet, and it includes more protein and fats than vegetables. So it leans more heavily on the proteins and the fats. So it's a little bit different. So just slight variations of the same thing to kind of give you more leeway. Going back up to paleo, some paleo people will allow white potatoes and will allow white rice because they are considered resistant starches and actually can help the body colonize good gut bacteria, which is good for gut healing. So, and sometimes you need a little extra carb. The ketogenic diet, or ketogenic, however you would like to say that, is high fat, very high fat. It's very high dairy though, but a lot of times. A lot of the ketogenic diets are very high in dairy, so my patients usually can't do them because most of my patients are sensitive to dairy. So high fat, adequate protein, low carbohydrate diet that in medicine is used to primarily treat difficult to control epilepsy. So it's it's a seizure control. So a lot of people will use the ketogenic for seizures. A lot of people are using it for weight loss now though, because it is a really good tool for weight loss. Whole 30, has anybody heard of Whole 30? A lot of people have done that. Whole 30 is actually good. We actually did a group Whole 30 one time. It was really fun. It's no sugar, no dairy, no grains, no beans. It's super restrictive, but you really expand your palate when you do the Whole 30 because you're looking for lots of different vegetables and how to use them and different ways to prepare meats and lots of those types of things. So it's very low in fruits too because of the sugars in the fruits. So it's kind of more vegetable geared vegetables. Okay, a bunch of underlined stuff in here that I have underlined for you. But AIP, autoimmune paleo. This is super, super strict. Everything paleo plus avoid eggs, especially the whites because of the histamine issue, right? The histamine. Nuts, seeds, that includes cocoa, chocolate, coffee, seed-based spices. So it's really restrictive on that. Nightshades, potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, sweet and hot peppers, cayenne, red pepper, tomatillos, goji berries, etc., and spices derived from peppers, including paprika. Those can be inflammatory. They can cause pain. So people who are autoimmune with lupus and RA and those types of things, lots of pain, right? So these are inflammatory. So you pull those out, and the theory is that the pain will be reduced. The problem with all of these diets is that they don't solve the underlying issues. So you can do any of these diets you want and you're going to feel a little bit better, But as soon as you start eating those foods again, guess what? You're going to have the same exact symptoms as you did before, because you're not actually healing anything. All you did was remove a symptom. You removed a part of the problem, but you didn't actually solve the problem. You have to fix the immune system, and then you can add those foods back in, and it won't be as restricted. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't eat anything on this list without having a horrible reaction to it. And I can eat anything on this list now and not have a reaction at all, because I actually fixed the underlying issues that were going on in my body, my immune system issues. I tried eliminations before, and they didn't do anything. They didn't help at all. As soon as I would eat that food again, boom, I was flat on my back again. It wasn't until I actually fixed the underlying issues that my body said, okay, fine, this food doesn't bother me anymore. So you have to reduce potential gluten cross-reactive foods like corn. So corn is cross-reactive to gluten. There's other foods that are too. Most of the time when people come up for wheat sensitivity, they also have to pull the corn out, which is a problem, because what are a lot of gluten-free foods made out of? Corn. That's a huge issue. So you're actually, the protein in corn is just as hard to digest as gluten is. So people don't realize you don't have the same weird reactions as you do with people who have true gluten sensitivities, but you are going to have a lot of inflammation in your diet. Fructose consumption in excess of 20 grams a day. So you have to, and that's your fruit. So no fruit above 20 grams a day of fructose. So that's a limited of your fruit, because it's fast metabolizing, and it can actually cause inflammation as well. Alcohol is a no-no on the autoimmune paleo, and then aspirin, ibuprofen, etc. Those medications, you don't want to use those either, because they can mess up your gut. Anything considered a non-nutritive sweetener, even stevia, which is pretty much every sweetener except for fruit. They only use fruit as sweeteners in AIP. Emulsifiers, thickeners, and other food additives. So those would be like your guar gums, your xanthan gums, all those gums. They're not allowed on the autoimmune paleo. So, things that you should eat more of. A lot of people don't want to do this. Organ meat and offal. Offal is awful, right? I like that. So liver, those types of things. We use standard processed products as our nutrition, and standard processed products are a mix of animal and vegetable. So they're not really grinding up animal, but what they're doing is they're taking its glandulars. So for people who need a liver help, there'll be a liver glandular, an extraction of liver in with some vegetables and other nutrition that will actually strengthen the liver. So it's a really, really good way to get what you need without having to eat it, because some people just don't really want to eat liver. They don't want to eat chicken hearts or cow hearts or whatever. They would rather, it's in a little pill and swallow it and be fine. Fish and shellfish, wild is best. Farmed is fine for some things. Now, I say fine with like this, because it's better to have so there's some things that are farmed that are okay. You just have to know where to get them. So like your shellfish, like mussels and clams, farmed usually means they just section off a part of the ocean by the rocks, and it's farmed there. You don't want to get tilapia. Have you ever heard that tilapia is actually bad for you? Because they farm it in like Arizona, and it doesn't really belong there, and they feed it things that are really nasty and antibiotics, and it's really, really gross. And then farm shrimp is the same way. So I really prefer wild caught, even though now you have to worry about the whole Japan thing with the West, with all the nuclear stuff. So we just have to be careful. We haven't actually found any problems yet in testing people. We haven't found elevated levels of mercury that were associating with fish. Not yet, not here. Some other practitioners have said that they do, but we haven't seen anybody in our offices with, we see mercury related to vaccines and other things, but when they do their diet logs, we're not seeing the link between excess fish and mercury in our clinical evidence here. Vegetables of all kinds, as much variety as possible, and the whole rainbow. Aim for 8 to 14 cups a day, which is about a pound, at least a pound, like a big pound of vegetables. Lots and lots of them. When you cook a vegetable down, it's going to shrink, right? So you can have 10 cups of spinach and you shrink it down to like 1 cup. So you can actually get a lot of vegetables if you go for the leafy greens and then just saute them slightly or steam them a little bit. You're actually going to get a lot of vegetables in a little amount and not feel like you're eating like an entire grocery store of vegetables. Green vegetables are really awesome. You get all those phytonutrients in them, that chlorophyll, which oxygenates your blood, gets everything moving. Lots of fiber, colorful vegetables and fruits, red, purple, blues, yellow, orange, white. I'm so glad that spring is finally sort of kind of coming. because I'm so sick of all the, I'm not a winter vegetable fan, like the squashes. I mean, I like them, but I get sick of them after the first month. So after Thanksgiving, I'm done. Like, okay, we're done with these squashes, because we can at least have some really nice green leafy vegetables that aren't from Chile or somewhere like that. Cruciferous vegetables are really good for you as well. They're wonderful for the liver. They really do a good job in cleansing the liver out. So if you're trying to do any kind of a detox, cruciferous vegetables are great. They're better a little bit cooked, because they do have some nutrients in them that can be a little bit irritating to the system. So if you cook them a little bit, broccoli, cabbage, kale, turnips, arugula, you'll have less gas issues, and you'll actually be able to digest them. If you think of broccoli, it's very harsh, right? So if you eat a lot of broccoli raw, some people have digestive issues. Sea vegetables. You don't want to do algae and chlorella unless you're doing any kind of a detox, because those are immune stimulators. So you don't want to have smoothies with those in them every single day if you're having any autoimmune issues. So quality meats, grass-fed, pasture-raised, wild as much as possible. Poultry in moderation due to high omega-6 content, unless you're eating a ton of fish, or unless you can get pastured chicken. The problem with chicken is so high in omega-6 is because what do they feed chickens? Corn, soy, right? So if you can get chicken, so family farmer or family cow, they do have chicken that's completely pasture-raised. And they don't feed them any grains. They feed them other mixes of other things. Like I know I have chickens. I live on a farm, and so we feed our chickens a mix. And it's all it's legumes and other things. It's not grains. So that's helpful too. And it's a much higher omega-3 ratio. Quality fats, pasture-raised, grass-fed animal fats. Rendered or as part of your meat, so fatty fish. So lean meats is a myth. Eating lean meats is not doing you any good, because you're going to miss out on the fat. So I prefer chicken thighs over chicken breasts, because you're going to get the extra fat. And so I actually eat quite a bit of fat, and it doesn't make you fat. So you just want to use your servings properly. Obviously, you don't want to overeat it, because then you might have, then that's too much in your diet. So you just want to, everything, and I don't like the word moderation either, but everything in balance, because you need certain amounts of nutrition every day. Fructose intake should be between 10 and 20 grams per day. Probiotic foods, fermented vegetables or fruit, kombucha, water, kefir, coconut milk yogurt, supplements, and then glycine-rich foods. So those are anything with connective tissues, joints or skin, organ meats, and bone broth. So bone broth is a really good addition to your diet to really heal the connective tissue of the gut, and trying to heal your gut from any kind of issues. The only thing I'm going to say about this is that if you have to look up FODMAP diet, if you want to know what all the foods are, because there's so many of them, you'll wish you hadn't. So some people have issues with certain FODMAP foods like garlic and onions and those types. It's mostly vegetables, but that is a huge issue too. But this is all fixable. All these things are fixable. A lot of the foods in this category are foods that we call they're foods that have a benzene ring. So we call them food phenolics, and we actually have a remedy for it called isopathic phenolic rings. And what happens with these foods is it's a chemistry issue. Your body's actually sensitive to foods that have this benzene ring, and it's all the healthy foods plus chocolate and some other things, but it's mostly like avocados and strawberries and all these things that people eat a lot of when they're eating healthy diets, because they're juicing them, they're putting them in smoothies, they're eating them all the time, and their body's actually having reactions to these seemingly healthy foods because they can't process these foods that have a benzene ring. We just correct it. A lot of times, have you ever heard of the oral allergy syndrome, where you have a reaction on your tongue to certain fruits and vegetables, and they get I have a couple patients with that. They get tingly and it gets weird. That's actually this, which is a reaction to foods that have a benzene ring. Completely correctable and fixable. So we actually had really good success with that with patients once we figured out what it was, because no one really knows what it is. Oh, you just have oral allergy syndrome. Okay, you just gave me a diagnosis. What does that mean? Don't eat fruits and vegetables. Well, that's not happening. That's not healthy, right? So just fix it. Okay, so we throw a lot of terms around. A lot of you will be familiar with these, but this is what we mean when we say things, especially on a nutrition program. When we say protein, we mean dairy, eggs, meat, poultry, fish, nuts, and seeds. When we say a carbohydrate, we mean bread, pasta, rice, cakes, cookies, and nuts, because nuts fall in both categories. Nuts are protein and carbs. So they're pretty much even. Nutrient-dense carbs, when I say cut out refined carbs and put in nutrient-dense carbs, I mean sweet potatoes, squash, and other vegetables. And I usually give my patients a list of all the nutrient-dense vegetables so they can replace all of their empty carbs, all their breads and those types of things with these. Good fats, I mean olive oil, coconut oil, butter, avocado, and nuts. Bad fats, canola and other vegetable oils would include soy oil and corn oil and those types of things, and trans fats. So that's what I mean when I'm saying these terms, and we usually teach our patients how to, all these things anyway. All right, so what to eat. Whole, unprocessed, nutrient-dense, nourishing foods. Prioritize grass-fed and pasture meats and eggs, wild-caught seafood and vegetables, fruit, nuts, and seeds in moderation. Avoid foods that cause inflammation. Abstain from toxic pro-inflammatory foods like gluten-containing grains, legumes, which are beans, sugar, and the laboratory concocted frankenfoods found in the middle aisles of your neighborhood supermarket. So all the foods you find, and when you go in the middle aisles, all the foods that you have no idea what they are, the foods usually marketed to our kids and our grandkids, those foods you want to avoid. You want to avoid Lunchables like the plague because they are not food. Everything in a Lunchable is made in a lab, in a plant, in a factory. There's nothing food in those things. They're so gross. Have you ever read the back of a Lunchable? It's horrifying. It's like the whole entire back is all these like chemical names. It's not even actual food. They actually just invented all. Ugh. Even the cheese isn't real. It's so gross. Go-Gurt is kind of the same way. It's got a lot of sugar, tons and tons of sugar in it. So shop the outsides. Eat clean. Some people they cringe when I say that. They're like, don't say that word. Don't say eat clean. I hear that all the time. If I hear it one more time, I'm gonna throw up. I'm like, it's true. Eat clean. What does that mean? It means to limit processed foods. An easy way to clean up your diet is to look at the ingredients list on packaged foods. If the list is long or includes a lot of ingredients you can't pronounce, try to stay away from it. Bump up your veggies. Organic is always better, right? Because you're not going to have the pesticides. If you're concerned about cost of things, then you can go to the EWG.org, Environmental Working Group, and they have a Dirty Dozen Clean 15 list that they republish every single year. It's always a new list. And the Clean 15, you can kind of get away with getting non-organic. Just use a vegetable wash on those or some white vinegar. That works really well too. You should be washing your vegetables that way anyway because organic vegetables, because they're not using pesticides, you can get parasites from those. So we see a lot of people who eat organic food actually have more parasites than people that don't because it's on their food because of the no pesticides. It's killing them, right? Especially lettuce. Lettuce is prime for parasites. So whenever I make lettuce, I always put it in a salad spinner, and I take some white vinegar, and I do like glug glug, 2 glugs of the vinegar, wash it really, really well, rinse it a few times. That way, you don't have to worry about the parasite infestation because you can get parasites from anything you put in your mouth, really. Salad bar, a whole food salad bar, we eat a lot of that because we work here all the time. I always cringe, so I'm like, oh. I always get it when I used to go to Florida and eat at the salad bar, and there's an organic place there. I would always come back with parasites every time. Yeah.
How are we doing our vegetables other than lettuce?
Washing them with vinegar. Glug glug. Oh, just take some vinegar and just wash them. Or baking soda. You can use some. My dad always keeps a shaker of baking soda, in like a little shaker one, by his sink. And anytime he gets an apple out or whatever, he just takes a couple shakes of baking soda, scrubs it really well, and rinses it off. He takes the vegetable wax. All the apples have wax on them too. They have like some kind of an edible wax, which ew, I don't really want to eat that either, right? It makes them nice and shiny.
So wait, if we're doing the vinegar, are we putting it in a bowl and like rinse it with
Anything
water?
you can, yeah. I wouldn't do that with I wouldn't do that with strawberries, and I wouldn't do that. Like I wouldn't soak berries or anything like that, or peaches, because you're gonna get the taste. You can do it really fast, but I usually will use the baking soda for things that are more fleshy. Like I'll put baking soda in with my strawberries because you're not gonna really taste that, and don't soak them in there for too long. But the problem is that berries and peaches, they're on the Dirty Dozen because they're so soft that the pesticides are actually in all the way to the pits and the seeds. So there's no way of washing a pesticide off of a strawberry or off of a peach or off of an apple, really.
Apples are worse.
Yeah, apples are the worst. Yeah.
I just had a question going back to the gluten stuff.
Mhm.
I buy Bob's gluten-free steel
Yep.
cut oats over here at Mom's. But then somebody told me, well, oats don't have gluten in them anyway.
They don't.
so
They
why
don't,
not?
but the problem is sometimes cross-contamination. So sometimes, because oats technically don't have gluten, but sometimes what they're made somewhere that does, people who are celiac, they feel safer getting the gluten-free oats because they know that they haven't been around so there's no contamination. Because if you have celiac, sometimes you can't even touch the wheat, right? So yeah, but I don't buy those. They're more expensive, and if you don't have a gluten sensitivity, there's no need to do that because there's no gluten in them anyway. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
How you clean your vegetables again? You said with vinegar.
White vinegar.
How do you do that exactly?
You can just put them in a bowl and just put some vinegar in and wash them, mix it with water, and then.
Soak?
If it's not a like apples, I'll soak a little bit. Sometimes I'll soak those, or I'll just use baking soda. Lettuce, I soak.
How long do you soak for?
Just a few minutes. I just usually use my hands and just kind of swish it around in
How
there.
much vinegar do you use?
Usually like two, like if you pour like two tablespoons, like
Okay.
glug glug.
You
Is that
like-
the measurement? Or
I don't usually measure. I just go pour. I just go like you know like when vinegar comes out, the thing that makes that glug sound. I just go glug glug. It's like it's about 2 tablespoons per like my salad spoon is about that big, I
White
guess.
vinegar?
Yeah, I
Apple-
use white vinegar.
Don't use apple cider?
You can use apple cider
That would be
vinegar.
more expensive.
It's more expensive. Yeah, the white vinegar is cheap. So
For baking soda, you can do that.
baking soda's and that's cheap too.
So you scrub it. That's the way.
I scrub the fruits with it, or you can put it in and rinse it. You can use it as a wash too.
You scrub it with your hands.
Yeah, I just kind of scrub it, or like a paper towel or like a cloth.
You do that with vegetables and broccoli and things like that.
Yeah, anything I'm not peeling, I usually will soak in something, or rinse with something, just at least to knock off some of the anything parasitic or the pesticides.
Say 5 minutes, you said?
Yeah, a little bit less than that. I usually only do a couple minutes, just enough to just get it all washed off.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. And then the berries you want to watch, but you don't want to do the vinegar too much with the berries. Like I said, it'll taste like vinegar if you let them soak. So, all right, cut down on bad fats. You don't have to cut out fats when you're eating clean. Instead, you focus on the healthy fats. These fats are good for your health. They're good for your heart and can help you raise your good HDL. Limited nuts and nut butters, butter, olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado. Avoid margarine and other oils like that, like the plague, because they're fake. If you've ever, there's some people that were talking about, the people that work in those factories, those margarine factories, they actually have to wear complete hazmat suits and respirators because the oils are rancid. They actually clean the oils and use deodorizers because they said the smell is so bad around those plants. It's disgusting because these oils are rancid. Vegetable oils are not, they don't tolerate heat well. And in order to get them into these margarine tubs, they have to use all these deodorizers and all these things in them just to actually make them so you can actually get them past your nose because they're so gross. So what you're eating is interesting. And I have to remember. Hey, Colleen, when we go over the supplement stuff, remind me to tell the story about the standard process person we met today. Don't let me forget. It's really important. All right, I will forget. I'll forget in 2 seconds. All right, unsweeten your diet. Most people eat too many added sugars. It's recommended no more than 6 teaspoons per day for women and 9 teaspoons a day for men. Also keep an eye on sugars added to healthier foods like yogurt. Choose plain varieties with no added sugar. Cut out most grains. If you muscle test, which we do muscle testing here to test for things, if you test specifically against a grain, then you have to cut it out. You have to wean off of it and cut it out for 90 days. So we do 90-day food eliminations. We wean off the food first, do a 90-day elimination, fix up the gut and all the issues going on, and we retest and we try to add them back in. Sometimes people need a little longer, but sometimes people are okay with eating them after that.
Sorry, but
Yeah.
how do you eat without grains?
You just eat proteins and
Try doing that. It feels so deficient. It's like I have to have some rice or something.
you have to do the nutrient-dense carbs. You have to do more like potatoes and sweet potatoes and squashes and those types of things.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you add those in addition to whatever you like, add that instead of doing a grain, you can have another vegetable too. Like say if you have broccoli and you have chicken, add in another nutrient-dense carb like a squash or a cassava, which is yucca root, or sweet potatoes.
Is that what paleo people do?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I always wondered about that. I thought, I can't believe they cut out all carbs, but they
They do. Yeah,
nutrient-dense
they eat the
carbs.
nutrient-dense ones. And
Okay.
potatoes, for people who are like the potato paleo people, they'll do the white potatoes too. There's like team white potato for paleos. It's
What's
interesting.
that?
People who would say it's okay to eat white potato because some paleo was no potatoes at all, like no white potatoes, no rice. And then other people are like, look, we need some kind of a resistant carb. We're trying to heal our guts here. So they'll put the white potatoes in, they'll put the white rice in. Because white rice is more of a starch than a grain, so it's easier to digest.
Oh, I didn't know that. I heard white potatoes, raises the insulin.
It can for people who are diabetic, but it's in small amounts, it's a good resistant starch.
Okay.
You just have to watch the amounts.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Those so-called ancient grains, I need to know.
Yeah, those are okay for a lot of people actually, because most people, unless you have celiac disease and have issues with the gluten itself, the ancient grains like the einkorn, E-I-N-K-O-R-N, is grown in Italy usually. That is usually okay because it doesn't have the glyphosate in it because it's not grown here. So if you can find ancient grain grown in Europe, then Jovial is a good brand, Jovial. That's a good brand of ancient grains because they grow it in Italy, not here. So don't have to worry about that.
What's the difference between the ancient grain and just a non-GMO grain? Like I eat bread once in a while, but it's like Dave's Killer bread, which is non-GMO.
Yeah.
I mean, are we talking the same grain, or is that
He
also
might
been
use
changed?
ancient grain, like spelt and kama.
Right.
He's probably using ancient grains in his.
All right.
I would think, yeah. A lot of those breads now they're using the ancient grain. They're called ancient grains just because they're
The
more the
original.
heirloom. They're more the heirloom brands, strains. Yes.
The soba noodles, I think they're buckwheat. Is that?
Buckwheat's okay. Yeah, those are fine. Buckwheat's usually okay, and buckwheat's usually okay across the board for most of my patients. They don't usually test off of that. So there's buckwheat, like instead of cream of wheat, there's cream of buckwheat. So there's those types of things too. I honestly don't have very many patients who test off of every single grain. I did, but because I was weird, I was really sick. But yeah.
So the spelt is okay?
Mm-hmm. For most people, unless we test off of it.
Okay, and what's a reasonable amount of the olive oil and coconut oil, like daily?
I think that varies per person. I don't really limit. I don't feel like limiting. I feel like for me, I know when I've had too much. If your stool floats, you might not be digesting. If you have gallbladder pain, you might not be digesting. You'll know because you'll get some kind of a kickback indigestion. Good rule of thumb per serving is about, speaking of thumbs, is about a thumb, like a tablespoon. It's like a thumb size fats per serving. So a pat of butter or a tablespoon of olive oil or a tablespoon of coconut oil. That's kind of your serving sizes, and you can have like 2 to 5 servings of that per day. So some people will down like 3 to 4 tablespoons of coconut oil in a day, and that's what they do. They eat the coconut oil. So I have patients that do that. One of the most the healthiest patient I have right now is in Iowa, and he is 21. And you probably saw my Facebook page. I was like flipping out because he's only in my office because he was exposed to a chemical and had weird anxiety issues. Otherwise he would not even be there. So we do this heart rate test that shows basically if you're Olympian status, you're in the blue, and if you're half dead, you're in the red, which most of my patients are in the chronic, more of the red area. He was in the blue, and I've never in my years of practice, and I've done this test on over 2,000 people, and I've never seen it even close to that mark. And he was in the blue, and I looked at him like, well, why are you here? Why are you in my office? Like, oh my gosh, like I wish I could switch places. But he eats coconut oil by the spoonful all day long. Like that's what he does. And he eats beef, and he's like, I'm meat and potatoes, but it's all organic, and he's eating tons of coconut oil. And he's like, I'm on point with my diet. I'm like, I guess you are, because I mean, you're in the blue. And that's like unheard of. So it goes to say something because his diet is very high in really good fats. And he's really fit, and he knows what's what about that. So, and he just did that in the last, in the last year or so. He, kind of converted his diet over to this high fat type of way of eating, and said he feels great. So, all right. So here's our revamped food pyramid. Grains aren't on there. You notice that? Grains aren't even on there because grains are not necessary for survival. You don't need to eat them. Unlimited vegetables is where the grains usually are because the regular food pyramid, conventional one, says to have your grains as your main one. And we say vegetables should be your main source of foods. Fish, seafood, meat, poultry, eggs, second tier. We have healthy fats and fruits and berries, nuts and seeds, and herbs and spices. Obviously, you don't want herbs and spices to be like, because they're just little amounts, because you're just putting them on things. Yes?
Is this a paleo diet?
This is paleo. Yeah, this is pretty much paleo.
How are you supposed to do exercise, like hard exercise, if you're not eating a lot of...
The nutrient-dense, all the paleo athletes, they just use the nutrient-dense carbs that we talked about, the potatoes, the sweet potatoes, the squashes. They just eat a lot of those, and they're able to maintain.
They don't have a problem?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Now, as long as you're getting, because there's a lot of, the carbohydrate content in vegetables is actually really high. You just have to use the right vegetables.
Because I know, like, you know, corn and broccoli, if you cook that, I mean, you're not gonna get much, not be able to exercise with that, but I know potatoes you put, it's just,
Yeah.
I think they burn off too
They
fast,
do.
so
They do burn. You have to kind of carb load with the, sweet with the big baked potatoes, like baked potatoes.
They would burn up pretty fast,
Yeah.
though, because they would break down fast.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of pretty good paleo athletes that just say they just carb load with, and they just eat extra proteins and fats too, because that helps to sustain.
Because when you remove the grains, your gut heals, right?
Right. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's hold the rest of the questions to the end because we are running out of time, and I want to make sure I get through this. I still have to do the other things, so let me go through here. Here's another dish for you. Colorful vegetables should be your main portion. Animal protein on the right. This is another way to look at it, and then healthy fats and then spices. So you kind of see what your plate should look like as far as that goes. This is another example of, it's called the perfect diet. This is another example of kind of a variation. Basically, this is a gut healing diet as well. You can see in the black on the end there, or the little, like the little comma, it says not to eat grains, vegetable oils, sugar, or beans and peanuts. This is like blanket diet. So none of these diets I have anyone do all the way because we test to see what you need to piecemeal from them. So I'll never tell you need to go paleo or you need to do this, you do that, because everything's so testing based that we actually see what you need individually. So you can see you have your sweet plants 1 pound a day, fruits, beets, berries, carrots. It's like the pound a day diet. So you're having safe starches 1 pound a day, vegetables 1 pound a day, and then you have your flavorings in here, and then you have your meats, fish, and eggs. So this is what you're supposed to be eating on a daily basis, and this is supposed to be super gut healing and super nutrient dense. It is a lot of food.
Right?
It's
I'm
a lot of
looking
food.
at it and I'm
I don't
like,
eat that
I
much
don't
food.
eat that
No,
much in
I
one
don't.
day.
I couldn't get all that food down. But that's what they're saying is, for nutrition. I know that myself I can't eat that much food, but I know that my body needs the nutrition. So I do take whole food supplements that have a lot of the nutrition in them because I know I just can't bring in that much food. I just can't. I don't want to pay for that much food either. It's a lot of food. All right. Okay. So. With nutrition response testing, what we do here is that we're looking at your diet. We're always, and when we did our clinical training in Florida, that's where I did my training in Clearwater. We had to carry our first time we were there this sign that said diet, and we had to stare at each other, stare at the diet. So basically, you are what you eat. So we were our diet. We are what we ate, and that's so true. Your diet will contribute to nutritional deficiency if it's not correct. It will also contribute to organ dysfunction if it's not correct, and vice versa. It goes both ways. So we have corners of a triangle. If I pull out one corner of the triangle, it's not a triangle anymore, right? It's going to be this flippy, weird shape that's not a triangle. So what we need to do in order to fix someone's organ dysfunction and nutritional deficiency, we have to find out why this is happening and put a halt in the mechanism somewhere and stop the process. Once someone comes in with a symptom to me, I know for a fact they already have something going on that we need to find out what it is. And we already know that that's going to be some type of nutritional deficiency and that their organs are dysfunctioning. So, can you grab the big picture off the wall in there? So what we do is we look at the body's autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is a system that runs the body. It does all the things that we don't have to think about doing on a daily basis, like making our heart beat, making our feet walk and eyes blink and those types of things. So this is autonomic nervous system. It's made up of 2 main parts, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Sympathetic is all the yellow that you see on the surface of the skin, the brain, along the nerves of the spine, and all the organs. It's in charge of all the active things your body does. So moving, talking, heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, stress response, all those action type things. Parasympathetic is all the green that you see, again, all the organs, into the nerves of the spine as well, into the brain. And it's in charge of, this is heavy, it's in charge of resting, digesting, and healing. So they're supposed to work together to run the body well, and they run on the nutrition your body brings in for their fuel. So if your nutrition is either not right for you or you're not absorbing what you're eating because you have digestive issues, they don't work well together anymore. Organs dysfunction and symptoms appear. And when you have a symptom, there's been something going on for a while, the body can't handle it on its own, throws out a symptom and says, hey, fix this for me, I can't fix it, it's my white flag of surrender here. So my job is to get into this system underneath the symptoms and find out what's going on at the root cause. And we do that with a method called nutrition response testing that we'll talk about. So sugar actually does the same thing as any other illness. So if I put thyroid disease, or I put diabetes, or I put any other diagnosis on the top of that triangle, it causes the same mechanism as sugar and any other disease as well, or headaches, mental illness, anything will cause anything. So sugar does the same thing. We're not going to go through it because of time, because we started late, but you have a sugar quiz. It's pink in your folders, so in your little packet. Take the sugar quiz on your own time. Read the results, and on the back you have 146 reasons why sugar is ruining your health. And you can see all the different things that sugar causes. High intake of sugar increases the risk of Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Sugar can cause food allergies. Sugar is the #1 enemy of the bowel movement. Sugar lowers enzymes' ability to function. Sugar can lead to prostate cancer. There's so many things that sugar can contribute to because it's so inflammatory. The second something sweet touches your tongue, immediately your body's reaction is your brain swells, your pancreas swells, all your joints swell, everything swells. It's instant inflammation for the body. So what we do is we really cut down on the sugar intake in everyone, and it's amazing the difference it does in people when you cut that sugar out. Weight loss and no more pain and all the clarity of mind, all these awesome things. So nutrition response testing is what we do, and I'm going to have Colleen come up because she's going to help me out with this. I'm going to show you real quick on a demonstration. Can someone make sure she's in the frame? Is she in the frame?
Not yet, keep walking. Now you
No
are.
more.
Okay,
There
good.
you go.
All right, okay. So with nutrition response testing, we're able to find out what's going on in the body by using a muscle test, and it tests the autonomic nervous system that we talked about. So with muscle testing, go ahead and raise up your arm. So with Colleen, she's standing in front of me. If I push on her arm, she can resist me, right? She has strength in her arm. I can push as hard as I want and nothing happens. Her arm stays. But say she has some stress in her heart, for example, and I were to push on her heart and her arm at the same time, her arm would actually collapse because all of the energy, blood flow, and circulation leaves the arm to protect the heart. Relax your arm for a moment. So if you think of someone who has hypothermia, when they come out of the freezing cold water, fingers and toes and arms and legs are numb, right? Because all of the energy, blood flow, and circulation leaves what you can live without, your expendable extremities, to protect the organs that you can for as long as possible. So standing here, Colleen's not under any stress. If I push on her arm, she can resist me, just like I could resist her if she pushed on me. But if there's anything going on in any organ of the body, and I push on the arm and the organ at the same time, using the arm as a strength indicator, the arm will actually collapse because all of the energy, blood flow, and circulation is going to leave the arm to rush and protect the organ. So I'm able to find out exactly what's going on in an organ stress-wise. If the arm stays strong, there's no stress. The blood flow stayed in the arm, right? But if the arm goes weak, then I know that that blood flow rushed out to go and protect that from something, and I need to find out what that is. So what I do is I use what we call stressor boxes, and you can see these. In these boxes are liquid representations of what it says. So this is my food sensitivity box, and this is my immune system issue box. And what I do is I actually put this on the body, so I'd have her hold this against her, I'd put this on her body, and I would push on the organ again, and if it went strong, then I would know something in this box is causing her body to react differently than it did previously, which was weak. So then I have to find out exactly what's going on, what specific sensitivity she has. She would actually touch each one, and if her body responded with a different muscle response, I know that's what her body's reacting to. It works exactly like an allergy test if you do a scratch test or a patch test, a little bit kind of like the blood work does, but blood work's a little bit different because it's looking for more blood allergy type things. So once we find out what exactly sensitivity-wise she has going on in the body, we look for the nutrition that will fix it. So these are enzymes. We put the enzymes on her body. We push on her arm and her heart at the same time. Her arm goes strong. We know that's exactly what she needs. I have like 5 different enzymes I can choose from. Sometimes they'll test, sometimes they won't. I have to find the exact one for her specifically. So people always ask me, well, how do you test babies? Because babies can't use their arms, and you have a lot of babies on your program. How do you test pets? Because I test people's dogs and cats and other animals. So how do we do that? Well, it's all physics. Everything I do is actually physics-based. So this is the little energy stick that we get from Amazon. It's like $7. It shows the conduction of energy. So if I touch the one side of the conductor and this side, it goes off, right? It makes noise. But say she touches it, nothing happens, right? We have to make a circuit, right? See the difference? We actually have to be touching. So you can actually make a chain with as many people you want in this room. Everybody all could do it. And the last person, it wouldn't do anything until the last person held my hand and touched it. It's the coolest thing ever. So we actually don't take kids on a program unless mom or dad's on a program with us and can bring them to the appointment, because we use mom or dad as the person to touch them, and it goes through. It's energy conduction is really, really cool. And I said this at my last talk, that anytime I say the word energy, people get all twitchy on me, like, oh, energy, voodoo, blah. But it's not. It's all physics. It's all science. Thank you, Colleen. She's like inching away, like, can I go? Can I go? So thank you. I appreciate it. So it is all very, very science-based, and it's all about how energy is conducted. If you have a tuning fork, think of it this way. If you have a tuning fork, and say Colleen was holding one tuning fork and I was holding another, and I flicked mine, the sound waves would travel across to hers that wasn't flicked, right? And it would automatically play the same tune that mine was playing. If you ever try it, it's a really cool thing if you try it. I might have to get some of those and do actually the actual demo. But that's what it'll do. The same exact frequency that this one plays, that one will play, because of the sound waves that go across the room. So people always ask me, how the heck do you know does your body know what's in these bottles? If you're just sticking it on my body and I have clothes on, like what is that about? Well, if you think of energy, because we're talking about energy, when you stand in front of a warm window on a sunny day, and the sun's coming through the window, you actually can feel the heat of the sun, right? Even though that sun is about 90 billion miles away, you can feel it. That's the same thing with these bottles of supplements. There's enzymes, there's things from the earth in there, plants. If you put this in the middle of the table here and had an energy reading meter, which we're actually working on buying one of those so we can do this demo too, because it's one thing to talk about something and it's another thing to see it. I'm very visual. If you walk within 2 feet of any one of these supplements, with an energy reading meter, the meter starts to make the noise, and that it's reading energy. It's the coolest thing ever, because your body can pick up on that too. So if your body needs what's in this, I'm going to get a response to it. So that's how we're able to actually get our nutrition tailor-made for you. So nutrition response testing is the method. It's the muscle testing method. It's how we find things in the body. And then design clinical nutrition is how we know what to give you. So we know exactly what foods you're sensitive to. We know exactly what's going on in your immune system. Do you have parasites? Do you have bacteria? What are these things that we're kind of getting the resonance of? We don't diagnose anything because we're not doctors, we're not allowed to do that. But we are able to tell you if you have these types of things that are affecting you negatively in your system. And then we do a design clinical nutrition program. We are concerned about your overall health, and everything we do is safe and natural. So we use mostly products from Standard Process. Standard Process is almost 90-year-old farm in Wisconsin. I just met a guy today who's just started a program with me, and he said, just so you know, I found you on the Standard Process website. I did a search, and your name came up. He did a Google, he found nutrition response testing through Standard Process website and did a Google search, and my Des Moines office came up because I'm marketing like crazy for Des Moines. I don't really need to market for here anymore because it's just full all the time. But in Des Moines, I started that practice only in February. So he actually works with he's an engineer, works with a company that does the machines that do the help with making the product. And he said it is the cleanest. He goes to a lot of places, nutraceutical. He said it is the cleanest factory he's ever seen. He's like, I have to tell you, one of the reasons why I came to you is because you use Standard Process, and I've been to their factory tons and tons of times, and he's like, it's amazing how they care for everything, how they clean everything. He said he's never seen anything like it. It's pristine. I'm like, I know, I was there last year. It's awesome. But what they're doing is they grow all their own food on their farm. It's beyond organic. Their soil is like the Fertile Crescent times 10. It's amazing, topsoil. All their compost is there. It's all vegetable compost, no animal compost. And everything they take it from their farm and they put it in their product. And we get it, and the nutrient profile of it, if you did testing on the nutrient density of a product, it's more than like if you got something that had kale in it from Standard Process and you tested kale from Whole Foods, the nutrient profile will be so much higher. The nutrition is more in what they're growing because they're growing it so biodynamically and rotating their crops properly. They don't have to use any pesticides, not even the natural ones, because they are rotating their crop. It's amazing. They only have 6 people who work over 450 acres of a farm. 6 people. And some of them aren't even working on the ground. They're actually working in the offices because it runs itself. It's absolutely incredible. So we're able to use this whole food as the replacement parts your body needs to fix all the underlying issues you have going on. It acts like a gap filler. It is a nutritional therapy, food as medicine. So along with your own food that we're giving you, you're getting from your own food, and along with this together, we're able to fix all your underlying issues. Because the body runs on nutrition, autonomic nervous system runs on nutrition, we know if we give it the right nutrition, it starts to work like it's supposed to. and it's really, really amazing. So my youngest patient is in the womb. I have fertility people of prenatal. When they come up from their midwife in the hospital, and we take care of them right away. Mom takes a supplement. She's breastfeeding. She takes the supplements, and the baby gets the nutrition. The most amazing births we've seen with moms on a program, babies who are happy, healthy, no health issues, on a program with us, and it's really, really cool. And our oldest patient is well into their 80s, and some of our patients are on 10, 15 medications, and nothing we do affects that negatively. We're able to give them whole food supplementation and help their underlying issues. We've helped people, along with the help of their doctors, get off of medications because we're able to really tailor-make their program. So you could all come in with the same symptom. You could all tell me I have a headache, and you'd all have exactly the different programs. All your protocols would be completely different because you're all different and you all have different needs. So we do offer, for New Jersey patients, we do offer a little bit of a discount on our initial consultations. We do them for $100 instead of $180. So if you did want to do an initial consultation, you can book out. We do have, it's about 2 weeks to wait because we're always full now. We're working on it, but we are always full. So it's $100 instead of $180 for initial consultation. It includes your initial consultation and all the testing, and then a report of findings for the results. And then we'll tell you exactly what you have going on and go from there. Any questions before we let you guys go?
I'm just going to say about how the athlete really didn't have carbs and
Yeah.
the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
But could there be something, I'm thinking carbs like hummus pasta, because that's like 27% protein.
Yeah,
or
you can do
something.
those types of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like but true paleo can't do the beans. So if they're going to be super strict paleo, then they couldn't do that. Yeah.
Because that's a
Right.
carb too?
It's a grain, yeah, or it's a bean. They can't do beans on paleo.
Why?
It's had the same kind of anti-nutrients as grains. They have,
It hurts the digestion?
yeah, digestion.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So, but we're never. I don't think I have too many people that are that strict. I have some people that are, but most people don't have to be that strict.
But are they soaking and sprouting and all that, the legumes, or? I mean, I've been
Yeah.
the controversy that Americans are lazy and just eat beans, and
Right.
they don't soak them, and they
Yeah.
don't spit out the
Right.
whatever it's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
What's your theory on
what's
that?
your theory if you
They're better.
are sprouting the
Yeah.
beans and eating
Yeah,
them?
some people just can't have it. That no matter what, like they test, they just can't have it. And some people they can have it because they're preparing them properly. So if you're soaking and sprouting, that's much easier for the digestive system.
I wonder whether or not people are being tested with beans that haven't been soaked and sprouted,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just being labeled as they can't eat them,
Yeah.
as compared to somebody that did soak and sprout,
Right.
and they're not having an issue.
Yeah, I usually have people bring in their whatever how they prepare. Most of my patients don't do that. They don't do that step.
It's
So
work.
yeah, it
It's a
is
lot of
work.
work.
It is a lot of work. So I usually, if you eat something differently, like I test everything's in my test kit that I need, but sometimes I will ask them, because it's not separated out in my kit, I'll have them bring in what they eat specifically. Like if I say you can't have cheese, for example, they'll say, can I bring in like goat cheese or something, and I'll say, yeah, bring that in, because sometimes something specific won't test as negative. And like quinoa, sometimes you'll get like a sprouted quinoa or something, or sprouted lentils, and they'll be fine. So it just really depends on. But I found that if it's something that they've been eating a lot of all the time, then it usually is a problem because they've just been eating it so much. So then we just have to pull it out for a little while and then see. Some people don't need the full 90 days. So it just depends. Any other questions?
What's your, how have you been able to help people with diverticulitis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all digestive issues we've been able to help with.
Where it heals up completely?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just have to heal up. We just have to, all those issues can
Even
be
if
healed.
it's been there for years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you just have to fix this. It's all inflammation based. So as soon as you fix all that inflammation in the body, then it fixes it all up.
Mhm.
So it's a process, and it's not short. It's a long, it's quite a bit of time to do, especially if it's been there a long time.
You said you were you were eating pretty good, right?
Mhm.
But you were not.
I soaked all my grains. I sprouted everything. I was in my kitchen tons of time, and I was still sick as a dog. Yeah, I was still very, very sick. Nothing I did, I ate better than anyone I ever met in my life, and I was still horribly
That's
sick.
what I started to read. You were doing like all like things that are considered radical,
Yeah.
extreme, and then you're still sick because you didn't notice like,
Yeah.
certain things.
Yeah, my immune system was so compromised that I didn't even know it. Like, you know, because I wasn't having like immune system symptoms really, but my immune system was shot, and I just didn't. The symptoms of what my body was telling me, I was less sensitive to food, so it was trying to tell me that I was that I was sick, but I wasn't putting two and two together.
Right.
So I kept on doing it. I kept making my sourdough. I kept making my water kefir. I kept making my kombucha. I kept sprouting and soaking everything. I'm like, why isn't this not helping?
Yeah, that's
Because there was, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
My husband would be like, what are all these things? I'd have jars in this room, because they can't cross-contaminate all the like little, everything everywhere. It was like my house was like a chemistry experiment.
All those things are supposed to heal your gut.
Exactly.
And
They were not. They were not
You
working.
work with herbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
You weren't. Were you taking herbs before?
Yeah, nothing was helping because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know that I had parasites, Lyme. My thyroid was messed up. My adrenals were messed up.
I found that all the herbs for parasites, they don't work.
No.
Like diametris earth, a little bit of that diametris earth stuff. It's so cheap. That works right away.
Yeah, that works really well. I use it for my horses because I have horses. So I use the diatomaceous earth in their horse food because I don't give them regular wormers. I actually just use that in their food. It takes care of them every time. Don't have to worry about it.
I wish I knew about that years ago.
Yeah.
But they hide it. If you look at parasites and all these health herb books, you're never going to see diametris earth in there. You only need a little bit of it.
Yep. Yeah, it's like razor blades to those things. It just shreds them up.
Yeah, but parasites can crawl in so many different areas of the body where you think they're gone.
Right.
And days later, you find out they're not gone.
Yeah, no.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you just got to wait. And it's like 3 months is the
Mhm.
the minimum.
Yeah.
3 months.
Yep. Colleen, do you want to hit the thing? All right, any other questions before we go? Yes.
Can you substitute, you're talking about sugar, can you go with a natural honey or organic sugar?
Sometimes sugar is sugar, so it's gonna, just hang on a second, don't shut up yet, wait till I'm done. So it depends on the person. Sometimes people can't have any sweeteners. Raw honey is gonna be better, obviously, because it has the enzymes and things in it. The darker maple syrup is gonna be a little bit better. The coconut sugar is lower on the glycemic index, so small amounts of that. If people have Lyme disease or other really compromised immune systems, I usually have to cut out all sugars for a time being and then add the natural sugars back in. But everyone's so different. But you can do a little bit of raw honey to be the safest. Just do that, if you're not sure. And stevia is usually safe for people too. Stevia, but not the stevia in the packets. The stevia, actually, the liquid stuff or the green herb, because stevia is supposed to be green, and if it's white in a powder, then it means they've done something to it to make it that way. They usually mix it with corn, something, dextrose, or they bleached it. They did something nasty to it. They do nasty stuff to everything and call it health food. So, all right. Any other questions I can take care of after? And then if you want a screening, let me know. And thank you for coming, everybody. We'll see you next time.